and welcome to Around the Scene, presented to you by Playing with Rockets. I'm your host, PWR Ryan, and joining me, as always, is Daddy Perino. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful, Ryan. Thank you for asking. It is another beautiful Tuesday afternoon here with Around the Scene, and my day just doesn't get any better than this. You know, this is the highlight of my week every single week, so I'm chilling. I'm happy. I'm ready to go.
I always love doing the episode. It's just nice. It's nice, relaxing, and it's fun just to have someone to discuss Rocket League stuff with. Because I don't
hanging out with
have
you,
a chance
Boo-Boo.
to discuss Rocket League with anyone outside of you necessarily. So, you're my Rocket League buddy. You're my duo partner.
We are duo partners. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, it's
actually
it's a nice little healthy.
Actually, based on the rank requirement now, I don't think we can be.
My alt account would like to say hello.
Oh man, we'll talk more about that here in just a little bit, guys.
My third alt account, actually, maybe to get in that range.
Oh, guys, this is Around the Scene, and this is your place to get your fix on all things Rocket League. If you like this, be sure to give us a follow, thumbs up, subscribe, do all those things wherever you may be listening or watching us, whether that's YouTube, Spotify, Twitch, wherever the heck you may be. I have no clue where all we're distributed at this point. That's all Perino's wheelhouse. So I
was gonna say, do you want me to go through the list?
I
can go through the list.
They can all figure it out themselves at this point. But guys, if you want to be a part of the show, go ahead and @ us there on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @PWR_leagues, and at some point we'll change it to @PWRpod or something. But whatever, it is what it is at this point. I'm sticking with it.
Sounds like a project I need to undertake this weekend.
There's so many things we have to work on for this show that neither of us have really put in the time to sit down and do it, just because outside of the show we don't think too much about the show.
Well, okay, so it's a couple of things. For starters, it's more work than you think.
Yeah.
It's also, for the two of us, just getting back into the rhythm of doing it. We are on episode number 4, and this is our 4th straight week of doing it. It has been published every single week, relatively on time, with a good process behind it. So we're trying to make sure that
Last week was my bad.
process works for us.
Last week was my fault.
Well, we had a minor boo-boo. But again,
so I
those are like
uploaded
minor
the file. I just never clicked publish. That was my bad.
Things like that happen, but it's good. But see, we like to get those things out of the way first and make sure that we're consistent and that we're good to go, and then we'll make changes and put in the extra effort. In fact, that'll probably start this week. So by the time you're listening to this episode, you may see it in other places that you may not have seen the first 3 yet. So
This man's always working.
Go ahead and listen back to the other 3 if you're just catching
the show
us
is
now.
successful is always thanks to Perino.
I wouldn't go that far, but I do appreciate the compliment. Thanks.
Oh, but for today's news segment, we've got a massive 2 items for like the 3rd week in a row. For some reason, we don't ever have that many items for news. I think it's just because there's really not a whole lot of news right now. I think it's just because there's just a whole lot of roster stuff going on. But are you ready to dive on in, man?
Absolutely. Let's get into it, brother.
So kicking off our first bit is Season 4 for competitive ranked is kicking off on August 11th. That is tomorrow, but we're here on the 9th or the 10th. So this is out by the time you're seeing this episode. So enjoy Ranked 4. But here's their quick teaser they had on it. So, I think there's been a couple graphics about this car. Oh, no, that's not the graphic on it. There's like a graphic somewhere about the car, and like the new car that's coming out. Did you see any of the jokes about it?
In truth, no.
What are the?
We'll cover a lot of things, but there were other things that are much more interesting.
Yeah, there's definitely
about
more interesting things, but one of the jokes I saw was someone was like, who left the Ripper and the twins are alone together? Because it looks like a weird cross between the two. It's like a grungy version of the Twinser.
That's a very apt description.
Yeah.
I like that.
But Season 4, Capture the Outlaw and Rocket Pass. The latest car, Outlaw, is on the loose and is wanted for boost stealing and demo hunting. Capture it in Rocket Pass Premium, along with 70-plus tiers of the shiniest loot this side of Deadeye Canyon, including no-name topper tanker wheels, Amico decal, and lava boost. Check them out on an octane below. As always, owners of Rocket Pass Premium receive an XP boost and additional weekly and season challenges. Complete yours and receive a bounty of XP and items. And then also we have the newest arena. Finally, a new arena, Deadeye Canyon. It looks cool. I'm super excited to play on it.
As long as they don't repeat the same mistake they made with Salty Shores Day, it looks, again, it's a very desert theme, so it looks like, like a southwestern United States kind of desert looking thing. As long as it's not too bright, that's all I want, please. I think it looks great. It looks great, but we don't know until we get in there, so hopefully it's not too bright.
Yeah, that really is the biggest thing, is please don't be super bright. I feel like they have to have learned about that one at this point. They're like, okay, we know
Surely.
we gotta taper down lighting and stuff. Cool. The other thing is they have expanded competitive tournaments. The schedule for competitive tournaments is growing in all regions. Additional tournaments are being added, and 2v2 and extra mode tournaments are joining the mix. Be sure to check out the schedule each day to see what extra mode is being featured and to see the new start times. Plus, tournament rewards have been refreshed for the new season. Lasso your squad and join the bracket. So I'm excited that 2v2s are finally a thing, because me and my buddy, we always play together, and us trying to get, rope in one of our other buddies to be our third for tournaments is so freaking hard. So I'm happy to know that me and him can just go play in a tournament now.
Yes, this is a very quote-unquote easy change that is going to do so much good.
It's quality of life type thing, really.
So, yeah, it definitely something that should have been added, and we're glad that it's in there. So hopefully people actually play it. I probably won't do extra mode tournaments. A lot of the extra modes at, like GC and above are already really obnoxious in their ranked playlists. I cannot imagine doing tournaments of Drop Shot. Oh my god.
I hate Drop Shot already anyway, so.
I actually think Drop Shot is the most fun of any of the competitive modes, but it has the worst player base.
I'm just not a fan of Drop Shot. I enjoy Rumble, though. Rumble's Rumble and Hoops are where I go to decompress. I don't care what happens ultimately. I'm like, if I lose, who gives a shit, really? If I've raged too much in ranked, I'm like, hey, let's just go play some Rumble and just have some stupid fun. Who cares if we win? That's what I do.
I wish I could do the same, but I cannot. I'm just a little obnoxious. Yeah, Hoops is okay.
I like Hoops because everybody who plays it is just garbage. At my rank, everybody's terrible, so I never feel bad when I miss shots and stuff, because I'm just like, we all suck.
Yeah, Hoops, just the way that the arena set up, it's kind of constrained, so it makes it difficult to play for that reason. Rumble, obviously the RNG thing, obnoxious. That's why I think Drop Shot has the best pure skill expression, which is probably why I like it the most. But then it's also inherently by far and away the most toxic. So it'll be interesting to see how the tournaments do, in terms of population and player base. It doesn't. I'm looking at it right now. It doesn't say. It says which extra mode is being featured. So it means they're going to do all of them, but not all of them all the time.
I'm betting they'll change it so it's one day they'll have a Hoops tournament, the next day it'll be a whatever tournament type thing. That's what I'm betting they'll do.
Probably. So hopefully those are still for fun and not as obnoxious.
I don't know. You're taking it from ranked to a tournament. Of course people are going to care more. Come on, man.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be a feature that I'll be using, but there are other
Yeah.
features that I'll be using. I'll tell you that.
And then moving on, there are more limited time modes on the horizon. 2v2 Heat Seeker will kick off as the featured limited time mode on August 12th, the day after Season 4 goes live. Then be on the lookout for Speed Demon on August 19th. This super fast limited time mode combines mutators, the speed of Boomer Ball without the wild bounces, demos on contact, and a fast respawn timer. That sounds interesting. Speed of Boomer Ball without the wild bounces. How does that...
Yeah, only one way to find out.
I guess if you just go into a private match and you set the ball to like light and then lower the bounciness. Is bounciness even a setting? Or gravity? Is that maybe the setting?
So
ball gravity.
It's been a long time since I played an actual game of Boomer mode. But yeah, I'm glad about the limited time modes. People have been asking for this for a while. So hopefully they will actually play the game mode that they've been asking for this whole time. You know?
I always play Heat Seeker.
Heat Seeker is
just stupid fun. And
yeah, and Heat Seeker
do what?
I think the reason Heat Seeker is one of the best is because it doesn't it has a relatively low skill floor but a pretty high skill ceiling, right? Which is what you want.
Well, that one too, it's just like, it's so funny because you get in some games where it's like everybody's clearly just having fun with it because you gain nothing from winning in that. Like there's no MMR, nothing. It's just whatever happens. Like it's just a game mode. And I always find it so funny when you get in with a lobby of people who just want to just shit talk the entire time because I'm like, why like what do you gain from this?
It's the same thing I would say for like Rumble or Drop Shot. Who cares? But you know,
I don't know,
people suck on occasion.
And then there are also some new features and quality of life changes coming in this update. So streamer safe music feature, that's got to be nice, especially you as a streamer. That's got to be pretty sweet to have an option like that.
I actually love the Rocket League soundtrack, so I'm glad that they're adding this. I think it's a very, very easy thing to implement, that at least for the the streamers of the world or the YouTubers of the world, like makes it very, very easy to just listen to the in-game music, to not have to worry about DMCA. Yeah. Personally, I'm a big fan of it because I think a lot of the Rocket League music is actually really good. But obviously, music taste is gonna vary. But for me personally, I love this. I think this is amazing.
The only problem is with the Rocket League radio, you can't do lo-fi chill streams, man.
Yeah, well, you can't do lo-fi chill streams on any platform seemingly these days without a DMCA strike. So listen, the struggle is real. The struggle is very, very real.
One thing I do like is that if you check the box for the streamer safe music only in the audio settings, it will affect both the Rocket League radio as well as the player anthems.
Yes,
and
very,
so
very
it
smart.
Will. It says that it will mute or replace music that is copyrighted. So it'll be replaced by music that is free to use, or it'll just be muted. So that's nice.
Great addition. Not even the best part of this feature list, though. Let's keep going. This next stuff is great. This is the best
really
part.
Is. So undersized party rank restrictions are now going to be implemented. So I'll just read what it says here in the blog post rather than try to say it for myself because I'll just butcher it. So, quote, following the start of Season 4, players who queue and rank playlists in an undersized party, a party of 2 players in competitive 3v3 standard, or a party of 2 players joining a 3v3 standard tournament, will have to be within 3 ranks of each other in order to queue. This is so the third teammate that is found via matchmaking will join a team that is roughly the same rank as their teammates. For example, if one party member is Platinum 2 and another is Diamond 3, a gap of 4 ranks, they will not be able to queue in 3v3 standard. However, if one is Platinum 3 and the other is Diamond 3, a gap of 3 ranks, they can queue. Brand new players will only be allowed to queue with players who are ranked Gold 3 and below when in an undersized party. This change does not take rank divisions into account and does not affect parties of 2 attempting to queue in 2v2, casual playlists, or any extra mode playlists. We hope this change creates a better competitive experience for those solo queuing in 3v3. Thank God. Thank God.
Can we take a moment? Listen. Praise Psyonix for this one. I have been asking
Everybody
for this for so long. It's such an easy way to help prevent smurfing, and it's so good. It's so good. They did it exactly at the threshold I think it should be. It's roughly about 300 MMR, give or take, just based on where the ranks are, which is more than a big enough gap for you to play with your friends. Listen, if your friend sucks, don't take him into rank with you. It kind of ruins the game for your teammate. I say that as respectfully as possible, but it's true. I love queuing into my GC games, and I have a Diamond 3 on my team who's a legitimate Diamond 3. It's really not great.
Because then you and their buddy have to carry them, and it's like, that's so unfair. You're making me work harder for your crappy decision.
Right, and so then it's not only that, but when you... So, like, in that instance, like, most times, if it's a legitimate, diamond player in a GC lobby, like, most of the time you're going to lose. There are exceptions, but, you lose MMR for that. But then the worst part is then when you queue against them, and they get on the other team, you actually gain less MMR because that person's dragging it down. It's like, oh my God.
You can't win even if you win.
It's really, really tough. So I am so happy that they did this. I think this was a long time coming. It should, at least for 3v3, help tremendously. I think so. Does it still apply in 2v2? Or is
it's
it
only 3v3 because it's only for undersized parties, so people can still play with like a gold if it's 2 GCs, as long as they're all partied together. It's that way. It's to prevent solo queuing people from being hindered by these people.
So I think this... Okay, so then it could have been even better. I think you could take the same change and actually put straight into 2v2. So that way like a GC in 2s can't queue with a diamond in 2s. For me personally, I think that would still be tremendously helpful. If you're full up on a party, though, I do get it. But
like in 2v2s,
I think
for
it should
instance,
be.
though, like they made the change a while back, though. So it's like if it's a GC and a diamond 2 queuing up in 2s, they're gonna get faced with 2 GCs. So.
Right. So
even then, it's like the odds of you still winning are pretty low because you're playing you're having to 2v1. Like the higher players having to essentially 2v1.
Right. So I think they could have done more. But this is great. I mean, let's credit where it's due. This is a huge thing for 3v3. I know for me personally, I tend to solo queue often in 3s. I don't really play 2s or 1s nearly as much. It's one of like the worst things, whether it's someone smurfing on an account that's lower ranked, or if it's someone who's genuinely just not that good and they're queuing with their friend for some reason. It really does just ruin the lobby. So this is a great change. Thank you.
Thank you, Psyonix.
Oh God,
we appreciate you.
Please. Of all the things, this was my number one thing. The next one I think is also good because it kind of sparked a funny reaction, but the undersized rank restrictions, huge. Big fan.
As someone who solo queues 3s, thank you. The other changes are improvements to casual matches. And I'm just going to, again, quote what they're saying exactly. Quote, "We know that it can be frustrating when teammates leave casual matches early, and we're taking steps to improve the experience. After the update, we're adding the ability to forfeit casual matches just like competitive matches. If all players on a team vote to concede, the casual match will end just like it were a competitive match. With the option to concede being added, we're also adding matchmaking bans for players who continually leave casual matches. For the players that only occasionally leave casual matches, there will be no penalty for leaving one casual match per day. However, the bans will get longer if more casual matches are abandoned. We hope these changes and a few more will improve the casual experience for players who choose to enjoy Rocket League outside of competitive play. Be sure to check out the full patch notes for more details before the update goes live. I like this one a lot because if you're going into casual and you're just like constantly leaving matches, it's like, what are you doing? Why are you even bothering queuing up? Like if you're just gonna keep leaving matches early, it's like, okay, why are you even playing? But I like this because it'll make people have to like kind of second guess if they're gonna like stick around to finish the game or not, rather than it be like you and your buddy playing like one player and a bot, or one player and two bots, and you're in a party of three people just shooting the shit.
Yeah, this is so same thing. Like full disclosure, I don't really play casual ever. I just don't really have an interest in it. So I don't really have an opinion either way. It was funny to me though, of course, because the number one group of people that will be hurt by this are people who are freestylers.
So I didn't see any of this. I saw people talking about it, but I didn't see anything about this. Because nobody likes these people. So, I mean, it's the truth. So a lot of the freestyling community, if I, represent it correctly, they'll tank their casual MMR on purpose. So that way they get into lobbies with people who are like genuinely new to the game, and then it becomes a freestyle session. So they can go for stuff that's just dumb. And people can't defend it because they intentionally tank their MMR to play against bad players, to do these things. They were all upset, of course, because now they can't do that. The fastest way for them to derank an account is just to forfeit a lot of games or just get in and leave. And this hurts that process immensely. And it's just so funny to me because to preface this, I've always felt that the freestyle clips are unimpressive to me because you can watch the defenders in these clips and they're not doing anything to stop them. So it's like, look at the ball
for
go.
Me, well, because these people are new to the
Exactly.
game or they're not that good. Like, it's not their fault. So to me, it's wholly unimpressive. I don't care what sequence of events you do to score. It's wholly unimpressive to score against a player that literally can't aerial. And I've held that opinion for a long time. And then to watch people say like, oh, now we can't freestyle, blah, blah, and then for them to just get demolished by the rest of the community is great to me. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Well, because it's like, it's impressive when you see pros do it, because it's like they're doing it on other pros. They're clipping on other pros. Like, that's super impressive. And like when you see these clips of like the defender's literally like just sitting there in net, doesn't even try to jump. It's like, well, by that point you probably already scored like 4 or 5 goals maybe, because whenever they show the videos, the scoreboard's gone, so you have no clue what the score is for half these games. So by that point, they probably just like lost all hope. They're just like, whatever, just put another one in.
Because they're not good at the game. They're good at scoring the ball. It's very different things. So, yeah, sucks for them, I guess, because it'll be harder for them to get into lobbies where they can, just hit clips on people. But whatever, like, honestly, what I would tell people, frankly, go into free play, turn on your Bacchus mod, and then have it set so that it looks like it's a real game. And honestly, with freestylers, I don't think you'll be able to tell the difference, in truth. I know, quote, free play, but, like, look, that's just the reality. The people that they play against don't defend anyway, so why even pretend?
Well, it's like there's some good freestylers who will actually, like, play people at their rank, and there's the ones who do that, and you're just like, you're not actually good.
Yeah, well...
You're probably like Plat with
some
decent mechanics, and you're trying to you just keep doing the same play over and over until eventually it works.
Yeah, it was really funny to me to watch the reaction, and then
gotta love the community, man.
people. I I was just glad that
Yeah, I love that the
people
community's
did
like,
not side with
yeah,
the
that's
freestyles.
terrible that you're doing this.
Well, it also, imagine you're like a brand new
Yeah.
player and you're just playing a casual game, because you're not good, so you don't want to play ranked. And you're just trying to get a handle on it. And then you go against these people who are, ceiling shot,
Yeah.
musty flip reset. Like, what? Like, why would you even want to play the game then? Why would
Yeah.
you even want to get back
That's
into
the
that
reason
lobby?
I'm
So
leaving at that point, because I'm like, this isn't even a fair matchup. Those are the games that I
Right.
leave when I'm like, this is clearly not a fair matchup.
yeah, but again, I don't play so my casual MMR is much lower
True.
than my ranked MMR because I don't play
Yeah.
casual. So like the very few times that I do play casuals, I mean, we destroy people because my MMR is
Yeah.
so low compared
But
to
there's
what
a
I'm
difference
actually
between
ranked.
like that and the people who purposefully are like, I'm gonna keep dropping it. So
Yeah, I think people who actually play casual will be very happy. This will be great for people who are genuinely new to the game, and trying to actually
Yeah.
improve and get better without, taking it into a ranked lobby, which is, the whole purpose of it. So good. Again, another great
Yeah.
change.
So that is everything for the notes for the upcoming update. Is there anything else you want to talk about for those, or are you good to go on to our next one?
I think I'm good. I think this is a great update. Everything in it looks really promising, so we'll see when it launches tomorrow or yesterday by the time you guys realize. But,
Hopefully this ages well.
Ideally.
All right, cool. Moving on to our next bit of news. Johnny Boy announces Salt Mine Atlantic Draft. So this is different from what he just did, which was just like a 1v1 tournament. So this one, he made a post about it on his Twitter. The video's kind of a bad quality, so I'm not going to try and show it here. But just go check out Johnny Boy on Twitter, and you'll be able to see the video. And in the video, though, it just shows a bunch of cars playing, and they've all got different country flags. And the only bit that it actually talks about is it says, let me see, scrub to that point. It says calling all NA and EU pros August 20th and 22nd. So that's really all it says, and that's all you get from it. It doesn't tell you anything about what the format is, how these are gonna work out.
Yeah.
Nothing.
It looks like it's 2v2, and it looks like it's based on... Well, I say it looks like it's based on country. The trailer
It shows
for
a bunch of different countries.
shows a bunch of... Yeah, so I think that's just more an indication that it is actually an international event. Hopefully they do that. Hopefully they do that correctly. It is officially sponsored by Psyonix. So that's neat. Good for Johnny, right? Get that bread, son.
This is Psyonix and him have gotten to the point where it's Psyonix is sponsoring him pretty regularly.
Yeah, which is awesome. It looks like it's 2v2. Based on the video, it appears to be 2v2. But we don't really have a lot of info for it. So, again, this was just a teaser that dropped a couple days ago, and there hasn't really been anything since. So, it's hard to really say much about it because we don't know much about it.
But I don't know. That should be cool. Definitely curious if it is a 2v2 type thing, though. Since Salt Mine was 1v1. Curious to see how that'll pan out, if that's the case, or if it just looks like it's multiple players because they did that so that they could show off all the flags with some of the cuts that they did in it. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case either.
Hard to really say. Again, we just don't know a lot about it. So it's happening. It'll be in about a week, actually, week and a half, really.
No, it's August 20th. Oh wait, no, that's
yeah, today's the 10th.
Man, it's flying by.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Fast.
I know.
Where did 2021
I did the same thing
go?
earlier. Yeah, it's rough out here, man.
my
It's rough.
Gosh. Anyway, moving on from that crisis moment, let's go into the roster shuffle. So, it's a lot of Europe. our weak point here, man. So, we'll see if this goes through okay. My mic is falling. All right, got it. So we'll just go ahead and kick it off. So Millennium, Acronic, and Expere, they are joining BS Plus competition. So that was the organization that picked up Rix.gg, that roster. So they dropped that whole roster, right. And now they are picking up these three guys. Acronic is the only one I really know, kind of.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that our knowledge base is similar on this one, because I was about to say the same thing. Like, Acronic, is a player that I've heard of and recognized, but the rest of it couldn't tell you much. I don't even know what BS Plus is, so you tell me.
BS Plus is it's like a legit organization. It's not just like a team name or anything like that. It's a legit organization. So like they're like sponsored by these guys. So that's a pretty good one for them. Okay, Acronic was originally part of Godsmilla's team, and then joined BS Plus competition back at the end of RLCS.
Yeah, so I did myself the favor and pulled the Liquipedia.
Because I'm looking up the results and I'm just a little confused. Oh, so I guess Acronic tried out with Liquid and then came back to BS Plus. So it looks like he left for a little bit and he came back.
Yes. So, yeah, I mean, again, hard to really say. This is a roster that's relatively new. They don't have a ton of results posted. This is a team that finished second in the show match with the German amigos there. So, we'll see how it goes. But it's EU. It's difficult out there, to say the least.
Yeah, EU is just such a messy region, to say the least. But I think that'll be a good team. I don't know anything about Millennium and Expire, though, so it'll be interesting to see if it's going to be like they're relying on him to sort of be the expert here for these guys, because I don't think either of them were a part of any big teams. Wait.
I don't know.
Oh, wait.
You can tell this is really our strong suit.
I think I put the wrong thing. They left. Acronic and Expire left BS Plus competition. My monitor. Never mind. Erase all of that. Acronic and Expire left BS Plus competition. Because I was looking at his results stuff, I was like, this doesn't make sense. But it looks like Millennium has joined as his replacement.
Okay.
Or no, he's the new coach.
Yes.
I hate that they put coaches in here. Just put the players. I don't need to know who the coaches are. So it's Godsmilla, Freaky, and Millennium. That's the team.
But Millennium's the coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of the team.
That's
okay.
So
they're looking for a third.
Teams.
Okay. That I was very confused. Now it makes more sense.
I was looking at that too. I was like, this.
I really thought I was
make
losing
sense.
my mind for a moment. Yeah, I was on the page. I was like, this really, I'm like, I can't say much because it doesn't look right.
We're normally good about making sure of all this stuff. Everything else is accurate. I don't know why I had the biggest brain fart right there. BS Plus competition, they lost Acronic. There was talk of Acronic joining Liquid. That's what it was. That's the last I've heard of that stuff. That was horrible. That's the worst roster move thing I think I've ever put on here. Jesus. I am so sorry.
So the problem is that we are NA boys, and we struggle sometimes with keeping in track of the entire EU. One, because with the new format, like, it was easier in the past
like
with
EU
other
has
regions
more
because at
changes.
least there was a set. Yeah, so there's that, but there was also because, you know, there was a set amount of teams at the top level, and they didn't really change. So it was much easier to keep track of. Now, because it's open circuit, even, like, you know, month to month or season to season, you know, in terms of like fall, winter, spring, like, things can change pretty dramatically, especially in Europe. North America tends to be a bit more solid, but EU's all over the place. So it's very difficult if you're not constantly keeping up with it, which is harder to do when you're in NA. So our apologies on that. But
It's not that we hate EU.
Unlucky.
EU is just difficult.
yes, that's a great way of putting it. Yes.
But moving on to the next one. Again, for clarification purposes, Acronic has left BS Plus competition. Xspray, their coach, has left BS Plus competition. Millennium has joined as a coach. Millennium doesn't even matter in this case. Gosh, I'm so bad with this. I don't know why. That's the worst thing I've ever done on here, I think. I don't think I'm normally that bad with the roster move stuff. Anyway, the next one is TRK511 has joined Sandrock Gaming to replace Senzo, who we recently talked about. He retired. So that's exciting to see that they got someone new. We don't know a whole lot about EU. There's no way we know, like, next to anything about Middle East.
Precisely. Other that Sandrock is like the pride and joy
that's what everybody
of
knows. The Sandrock.
Yes, exactly. So a lot of expectation, obviously. Big shoes to fill. It's a very difficult spot to be in because playing for a team that's based out of the Middle East, there's no RLCS for them. So, or at least that we know of so far, our bet still remains live there. No announcements yet for anything regarding new season of RLCS. But I imagine that makes life difficult there to try and go pro, you know, just you can't really say like, oh, we're going to be a team that competes in RLCS because you don't have a region to represent. So what do you even do? I don't know.
Well, there was a article that came out recently about the Middle East, and I didn't get a chance to read the whole article, but I kind of skimmed through it, and one of the things I did see that I thought was really interesting was apparently Team Liquid wanted O'Khalid to move to the EU, and they were going to put him on a team, and then, like, he said that he wanted to stick with his team he had then, and he wanted to build up the team in Middle East. And that's when they were like, okay, whatever, and they went and picked up Fruity, Speed, and all them. I thought that was interesting because I had no clue.
Yeah, I mean, it speaks to the interest in the talent level. You know, but it's just one of the big drawbacks of being in that region. You just don't have representation at the highest level. So what are you really supposed to do? You know, you're basically just praying that Psyonix will make a new region for you, or if you really think you're good enough, you have to move. You know, whether that's you know, to, I would say realistically either North America or EU to play. You know, and for them it's probably much easier
it's like
to
what
go to
True
EU.
Neutral did. Of they're like, we're leaving Sam and we're going to North America, and it's a little bit different, but they're going to the area where there's more money and there's more involvement, like with RLCS stuff.
Right. So I don't know. It's kind of difficult because the issue is, you know, is there any depth, you know, to justify having a scene there? Like, it turns out that, you know, there's a pretty, like, sizable group of South American players that hold up that region. There's a pretty sizable group of OCE players that hold up that region. Like, I don't know if that's the case in Middle East. I suppose, you know, if you make it, they will come.
What I have seen, the Intel World Open was really nice in that the closed qualifiers allowed you to see some of the skills in some of the other countries. And Sandrock Gaming almost weren't the representative for Middle East. Yeah, because they almost lost. They had to reverse sweep to become the champion to represent Middle East. Yeah. So it goes to show that region has really strong potential to be like a contender on the world stage. So I would totally be interested to see what happens with that. But Senzo is being replaced with TRK 511. So that will be interesting to see how TRK fills those shoes.
Yeah, well, only one way to find out, you know. Give him a region to play in, you know.
Please, Psyonix, do it. Moving on to the next one, though, the South American team Rebel, they have dropped their roster entirely. So that roster consisted of, apologies, I have to like move through everything. That roster consisted of Yangzins, Astramic, and Snipe JZ. So Rebel actually, they weren't one of the best teams in South America, but they had some really good finishes. Well, I said they weren't one of the best teams as I'm like looking through their stuff. They got a lot of like 4th, 3rd, 2nd place finishes. I think they only got, looks like they only had 2 first place finishes.
I mean, which is nothing to
sneeze at all. And so like this was a pretty decent roster as they closed out season 10. So going into season 11, if this roster sticks together, you could expect that they'll probably, you know, do pretty well for themselves. So free agents now.
Yeah. Definitely tough because I don't know how many orgs are going to be interested in a South American roster. The good news is that because they definitely finished the season really strong, you know, they certainly have a resume to get signed again. But that kind of sucks, you know, just trying to navigate that whole space. You know, you have like True Neutral leaves, you know, Furia makes some moves, but you know, that's like the tier 1 org that you want, you know, if you're in South America. You know, Furia is definitely one of the front runners there, but like, you know, beyond that, like, who are you really going to get, you know, to pick up a South American team? And that's the hard part.
Yeah. So gonna be interesting to see what happens there. But if the roster sticks together, then I mean they'll definitely have someone most likely interested in them. You know, especially with True Neutral leaving South America, it's, you know, who knows, especially since they got so many 2nd place finishes, 4th and 3rd place finishes. Like, they're in contention to turn a lot of those into 2nd place, 1st place finishes instead. So that definitely becomes a possibility here for them now. But moving on to the next one, the Team Queso roster, which rebranded to Magnifico, has now been picked up by Giants Gaming. I swear, the jokes about Team Queso being a team that they had to like had to dedicate like a daily post about, I feel it because I feel like we keep talking about these guys.
Well, hey, they completed their run though. They got picked up by Vodafone.
Go solo, get picked up.
Yeah, Vodafone Giants.
They were speed running the peeps.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. All in one off season. Good for them. Young men getting paid. Clearly, that's an organization that can afford a top team in EU. As we said last week, Team Queso is definitely a group of guys who, on their day, can really, really wreak havoc. They're just up and down. So hopefully, you know, having a bit more support perhaps from Vodafone Giants, so maybe they can develop that consistency. So good for them.
Definitely exciting for those guys. And then moving on to our last bit of roster news, Ajax has officially re-signed with United as a starter. However, notably, there hasn't been any movement about what's going on with Tristan and Dapper, the other two players on that roster.
Yeah, so United are an interesting case because they have had a lot of movement over this split in general. Going through players, trying to find something that sticks. I would be surprised if they let go of Tristan. I think Tristan's really good. I think Tristan's really good. So to me, it wouldn't make sense to drop Tristan. I think if you were to make a change, unfortunately, it would be Dapper. But NA is so difficult because then who do you bring in?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, sure, okay, maybe you want to make a change there with E United, but who are you bringing into that project that's going to make that team better? You know, there's not a lot of names out there.
Yeah. That does become kind of the question there, but who would you put in?
Percy got yoinked already, because that would have been my immediate answer. Would have been Percy.
What's his name? Dang it.
Turinturo? Turinturo would actually
but
be
he
a decent
hasn't
fit there,
left Rogue. He's still with Rogue.
Oh, I thought maybe he was just rumored. I thought he was rumored to leave. I think
people were expecting.
Maybe
I think people were
I'm
expecting him to be the one to leave Rogue, but since First Killer is leaving,
allegedly.
like since it's looking like First Killer is the one who's going to be leaving, I think that has changed things to where now, if I was Rogue, I would probably try to look to keep Turo, than to not change up the roster too drastically.
Right. Okay.
If First Killer, because I think it was one of those things that like we expected it would be like, First Killer stays, Turo's the one that goes, but now it seems like it's going differently.
So yeah, I don't know who you. I don't know who you put in there. Though.
Maybe comes back.
Okay, that would be decent, but
maybe he comes back to E United.
I was gonna say I was thinking about it as you said it. I was like, I'm pretty sure they already tried that once.
But not with not Ajax and Tristan. It was a different roster when he was a part of it. It was like, oh God, who all was on that roster whenever he was a part of it? I don't remember. That roster's just changed so drastically in the entirety.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The EU.
That was one of the rosters that changed the most.
Yeah, they've gone through it. So, I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't bring back Tristan and Dapper. You know, I think they can make it work. But if they are looking to make a change, I don't know that letting go of Tristan is the way to do it, because I'm not sure that you'll find a player that's better. Dapper maybe, if you think you can get someone, but I don't know that I would move along from Tristan. I feel like that would be irresponsible without a plan.
True. I do not know. I know that keeping Tristan is I would put that as, in your best interest to keep him, just because he is such a good player. Every time I've watched him in collegiate Rocket League, I've always been super impressed with him. So the second I saw him jump into the pro scene, I was like, he's going to do fine.
And he has done reasonably well. So,
And that looks like that is our final piece of roster news. So that concludes the roster shuffle. And so, Perino, I am going to throw you a slight curveball, if that's okay. Because we still have about...
Oh, I love a good curveball. Hanging over the middle, Ryan. I'm going to knock
minutes.
it out. Oh, baby.
So,
let's do it.
The Search, the Rocket League tournament to, find out who is going to represent Beasley Esports as their, first foray into Rocket League. You remember the tournament I'm talking about?
Oh, yes. We've discussed it a couple of times.
So, to give an update on it, they did the second qualifier that has now concluded. A lot of big names came in for this one. We talked about the first one. It was pretty low attendance and stuff. People showed up for day two. Notably, These are the teams that qualified to the final day. So Vibrance, consisting of Astro, Fefe, and Oath. So that's a pretty solid team right there.
Yep.
Frequency, which consists of Tool, J-Bot, and Bambi.
Yep.
Nefarious, consisting of Adam, Hockey, and Buddy.
Love that Adam and Hockey are
Yep,
teaming
I love
again.
that
Good
too.
for them.
And then Square One, consisting of Zanil, Karma, and Heck.
Who we said would be great
Yep.
for this competition
Yep,
last
they
week.
they made day 2 of the second qualifier, and they 4-0'd their opponents to qualify. All these teams I just listed all qualified through the upper bracket, and they all 4-0'd their opponents to qualify for the final. So yeah.
Woo!
And then qualifying into the loser side, they had Volts, RC Slayer, and Spooderman. Don't quite know those players as well. Volts I know, but the other two not as much. There is another
Likewise.
game that it looks like they just didn't log the results for, but no one totally notable in that matchup. Then the Zookeepers, consisting of... Oh, wait, no. Did I read the wrong team for the last one? Frequency. Oh, so I said for Frequency, I said it was Tool, J-Bot, Bambi. That's the Zookeepers. Frequency was Flitz, Kiri, and Shia.
I know
Yeah,
Flitz. Flitz is a really
So
good player.
Zookeepers qualified through the losers bracket, not winners. And then the last one that qualified was the Blues. That team is Crow, Shiny Wings, Cam, and Cryptic. Who, if I am recalling correctly, they're also a collegiate Rocket League team together.
So we have found that it turns out there's a bit more competition going on there than we may have previously thought. I thought that may have been the case last week too, where, part of it I think is just getting rosters together to actually play. It's just a weird point in the off season, and we don't know when roster lock or anything like that is yet for certain. We have had nothing on that front from Psyonix, so yeah, I'm glad that there are big guns showing up to this event now. I think that'll alleviate perhaps some of the concerns that we had from last week.
I'm double checking again who all was in the day 1 qualifier, or the first qualifier, and who made it in. And yeah, none of these teams that made it, except for like 1 or 2, are notable, I would say. Yeah. So the teams that qualified here in the second qualifier are the team that will be represented by Beasley Esports, or will be representing Beasley Esports, is most likely among those teams that I just said.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't cast or curse it. You're gonna have some random team from the first day just show up and actually.
I'm looking through the rosters, and
everyone.
it's just nobody. There's not really anybody of like super experience there from the first qualifier that I would say has like the ability to probably beat out the competition that I listed there in the second qualifier. Let me look real quick again. Stealth is a notable player, but he didn't really have anybody surrounding him. The only other team I saw that was probably worth mentioning was a team named Board, which consists of Soul Flares, Prime Thunder, and Nitrous.
That's a legacy roster right
Yeah.
there. I don't know how good those
I
guys
don't know
are
either.
right now.
I
It's
haven't
hard to
seen
say.
those guys perform in ages. But the other notable thing though is like everybody who won there in the second qualifier, they all played their final games to qualify. Like they all had to play all the way through to qualify. 4 of the teams that qualified in the first qualifier, their final match was a DQ match, where they just didn't play. They just won out of disqualification. So that I'm pretty positive whoever's going to be representing Beasley Esports is coming from the second qualifier.
Yeah, seems to be a reasonable assertion.
So among those
again, I'm
teams
glad
though that I said there in the second qualifier, who's a team that you think would probably have the best chance of taking it?
It's hard to say because I didn't really feel that there was one individual standout team there. I think they all sounded pretty good from the names that you shot to me. I think Karma's team obviously will have a shot.
I think Nefarious and Square One. So Square One is Karma's team. Nefarious is Hockey and Adam and Buddy.
Yeah, those guys.
I feel like
are
it's
nuts.
got to be one of those two who ends up taking it.
Yeah, probably. It's hard to really say. The thing is, like with a one-off competition like this, where the prize is so good, it can be difficult to make that prediction because it really at that point is about who shows up on the day,
especially because it's just a tournament format.
One of the criticisms. Yeah, exactly. It's one of the criticisms of the event. It's more about who really does well on the day of, which may not be the best representation of who will do the best long term. Thus, difficult to say. I have no idea. I'll probably end up watching. When's the last?
The finals will happen on August 21st.
Oh, so that's not this weekend, but the weekend
after. So it's extremely close. So we'll be able to find out who this team is going to be very soon.
Well, I'm sure that episode for that week will be a very lively discussion on who ends up earning that contract and what they actually sign with. If we know.
We probably won't know. They probably won't. I doubt they would tell you. Because Beasley Esports probably isn't going to be offering the full contract because the odds of any of these teams being able to compete with some of the RLCS, top 8 teams very well, probably not many of them. I would say like Nefarious and Square One are the only two I looked at that I was like, yeah, you could compete. Maybe Zookeepers. But the rest of them...
Zookeeper's on their really good day.
But the rest of them, I'm kind of like, I don't think you'd be able to compete with, top 8, top 10, top 12 even RLCS teams probably very well. So I doubt they would go for the full 5K because I think that's probably what, more like E United would be paying or something for their players. Or, Psyonix or someone. Granted, I have no clue what pay is like anymore.
Yeah, so I'm just going off of... So this is the Lupapedia rating system that they have. It's basically just like a power ranking system that they have for North America. So I am looking through. And according to their list here, the top 14 teams in RLCS in North America have organizations behind them. Xset, United, Ghost, Alpine, PK, KCP, Susquehanna, Version 1, and then the top 6 that you all know. FaZe, G2.
It's not
Space
until
Station,
you
Heavy
get
Rogue.
to 17 that you see the first team that's not represented, which is Stromboli.
Right. So with that in mind, where, how much of a quality team are you really going to get out of something like this? Now, is Jamal Jabari...
They were picked up by Oxygen. They're Oxygen now.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Okay, so I was...
Nefarious is the highest rated team on here. They're 19.
Right. And so that's the issue. Is like, the 19th rated team in North America, like how much are you really going to pay them?
Yeah.
And I say that as respectfully as possible, but like, I'm just being realistic. This is
especially when you look at they're
the
rated
bubble.
at 1,974, which is almost 400 lower than True Neutral, who's 13th at the moment. And then once you look at top 8, they're like 500, 600 behind.
Yeah, it's just really tough to be an org coming in now, because unless you purchase a team that is already signed, you're not gonna pick up a team that can compete at the highest level for what we know for right now. Now, I mean, somebody might have a breakout season. I mean,
True.
who knows? But based on the evidence of last season as a whole, there's no team available that's really going to try and make that push. So for Beasley, it's like you're getting the best of the rest, truthfully.
Yeah. I'm surprised Stromboli didn't attempt the run at this.
Who knows?
That's
'Cause that's,
Alvarez, Kinsey, and Mill.
Yeah, and they would, again, very much be contenders to take it. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of a difficult spot. You know, like, it'd be nice to have that contract, sure, but you're really playing on the bubble. So how much money are they going to actually give you? They again, they left it very open to interpretation when they set up the event. It wasn't like a set dollar amount kind of contract.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We shall see. But that is the end of our time together, Perino. You know, we somehow hit an hour again before we knew it.
Yeah, I thought today for certain we would be short, and we kind of were. You know, the little curveball with the Beasley.
Well, because I realized that I was like kind of thinking towards the end, I was like, ooh, that's something we didn't talk about, and I wanted to look up and see how it was doing. And when I saw all the notable teams, I was like, oh, we should talk about this.
Yeah, we've talked about them for 3 weeks straight.
Yeah, but I didn't
We
think
brought
I
them
didn't,
up every single
like,
time.
I didn't realize that like I had forgotten that they had the second qualifier this weekend, so I was like, oh, we should like look and see how that went. But yeah.
Well, again, our concerns were at least alleviated for that
God.
event. So, you know, I'm glad people
So
actually
the
played.
odds of them actually getting a decent team looking a lot better now. But that is going to conclude roster shuffle's done. But that's going to conclude our show for today.
Yeah, just like that. We're all out.
But thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. Once again, be sure to follow us on Twitter, YouTube, any of the podcast services you may be listening to us on. Perino, mentioned earlier that we'll probably be in other places soon as well. Again, if you want to follow us on Twitter, it is going to be at PWR_leagues, and it is the same handle for our Twitch as well. And other than that, you can also follow me at PWR_Ryan on Twitter. You can follow him at Perino TV. You don't have the handle.
I didn't create the organization with you, brother. I just hopped along for the
you've been
ride.
around you were there from pretty much the beginning, so
basically. But it's not my name.
But Perino TV is his handle. But that is going to do it for us here today, guys. It's been our pleasure to serve you. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been Around the Scene presented by Playing with Rockets. I'm Ryan. That's Perino, and we will see you guys next time. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out.